second violins. This is the discussion video for Allegro con brio from Symphony No. 5 by Beethoven. The most important thing about this piece is the key, the tonality, D minor. That means that F's and C's are natural, they're low. B's are flat unless otherwise marked. So it's really important that if you use note names in your music, that you write the accidental next to it. You write whether it's flat or sharp or maybe natural if you even need that, so that you know that F's and C's are low, B's are flat. This happens right off the bat. Measure 2 is F natural. That needs to be a low 2. Terminology, low 2 meaning down here next to your first finger. High 2 is up here on the tape. Low 2 is down here next to your first finger. There's almost a finger's width of space here. So make sure that you either, like, whatever note you're playing, whether it's a high 2 or a low 2, it is accurately placed, because if it lands somewhere in the middle here in no man's land, it's a wrong note no matter what you were trying to play. Counting is also really important in this piece. You've got a lot of long note values, but it goes by pretty quickly. It looks like you've got 3 measures tied together, but it's actually not as long as you may think it is. So count carefully. I encourage you to go play along with the other videos so that you can see how your parts fit together and who plays where, because you guys, like, everybody's got an independent part, and you need to make sure that you're not going to get sucked into somebody else's entrance, but also realize when you are together with other sections and maybe make a note of that in your music. Let's see here. The first note that I really want to make sure that you are getting correct is measure 20. Everything up until now has not had any accidentals. Measure 20 is the first one you got. It's a G sharp. It's high third finger on the D string. Make sure it's high enough. And then measure 21 is a C sharp. You know how to play that, just make sure you get there. Measure 22 is B flat. B flat is back here by the nut of your instrument. This piece here with the grooves that your strings sit in, this is the nut. Low first finger notes live way back here by the nut, not slightly behind the first finger tape. They're normally quite far away from where you see your first finger tape. But also use your ear. Trust your ear. If you play all the way back here and maybe your string is a little flat today, if you play all the way back here, it could still sound wrong. But overall, make sure that your low first fingers are actually quite low. Trying to bounce between the music and the notes that I have written. I think everything should be okay. Keeping an eye on the low C sharps, that being your high third finger on the G string. And measure 41, you've got an F sharp, but like 3 bars ago you had a low one, so make sure that F sharp makes it all the way up here on the first finger tape. 48, 49, 50, all of these have C sharps in it, so make sure that you're playing a high C sharp and a low C sharp, that you're getting the same pitch, 2 different octaves, but make sure that C sharps are always happening there and they're always high enough. 53 and 54. 53 has a couple of B naturals in it. 54 has a G sharp. Make sure that you get all the way up there on G sharp to F natural, low 2 there. And then in 55, open D to a 2 that's on the tape, a high 2 for B natural in 55 and 56. So just make sure that you're being really careful there, and if you write in the letter names of the notes, make sure that you're writing the information in beside them, whether they're natural or sharp, or flat. If you've got the B flats in there, make sure that all of that information is beside that letter name, because if you look at that letter name and you see B and it's actually B flat, you're going to be in trouble. So, moving on, 37 through 56, all of those eighth notes, just be really steady there. The first violins have hooked notes there. They're slurring to and hooking to. This is the figure that you get at measure 102. You have that exactly with the first violins. That is the same part, the same notes as the first violins there. We'll talk about that when we get there. But the hooked bowing has a tendency to not be very steady. They might rush it a little bit. They could drag it. Second violins, third violins, and violas all have straight eighth notes here that are separate bows. They're as it comes. So make sure that you are really steady and you aren't rushing here. 37 through 56. 63 through 86 has a bunch of accidentals. 63 through like 83, that's very simple, right? You got a few C sharps in there, you got a couple F sharps, no big deal. I don't need to tell you how to play those notes. We've already gone over how to play G sharp. That pops up in 84 and 85. The part that I really want you to be careful about is measure 87. 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92. That is a musical unit. All of that is like the same pattern. Then 93 through 99 is that same pattern, but two of the notes are raised a half step. This is an octave below what the first violins are playing, so make sure that you play this out really loud and help them tune. 87 is your third finger on the tape, G natural, A natural, B flat, A natural, G natural, A natural, B flat, A natural. In 93, you shift to G sharp, A natural, B natural, A natural, G sharp. So making sure that you're accurately hitting G sharp and you're getting back up to B natural on the A string. In 97 and 98, 99, please use your fourth finger to make this G sharp to A happen, because if you don't, I'm going to make fun of you that you look like a chicken that's trying to fly away by doing a bunch of unnecessary string crossings. Measure 102. Tons of accidentals, tons of hooking. This is a very difficult part that I want you to look at by yourself before you even start trying to play along with the slow practice videos. You're going to really have to pay attention to the notes here. Lots of naturals and sharps have been thrown in. There's a few G sharps in there on your D string. It's just really difficult. And as I said, this is exactly with the first violins. So that'll be, 5 of you playing all of the same stuff. Also, 5 people doing this hooked bowing just multiplies the potential for rhythmic error. Third violins and violas still have straight eighth notes here. Cellos and basses are playing quarter notes. But now you guys have to make sure that you don't rush or drag the hooked bowing, and make sure it's a very snappy hook. This is not, like, the up bows are not slurs. They're not meant to be connected. The only reason they are there is so that you can start every downbeat with a down bow, because it's honestly quite awkward to have to do like if you were taking this at performance tempo, like it's really ridiculous. Professionals play it hooked the whole time. because you can keep everything right here in the same part of the bow, exactly where you want it, exactly where it bounces well. And then when you get to 116, 115, 116, and you have all separate notes, you're still right there because you've stayed here the whole time instead of traveling by going down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. It's just a very cumbersome bowing when you get this up to tempo, which is ideally quite fast. Let's see here. Yeah, I already talked about the harmonic shift at between 87 and 93. Sorry, going backwards. I did make a really good note here that the section 87 to 99 is a really pivotal harmonic shift for the entire orchestra. Like, everybody has this moving notes up a half step pattern. There are different notes for each section, but like everybody's got this motion. So it's really important that you do that exactly, that you don't ease yourself into the key change, that you start playing the correct notes, the accidentals, when they are written. I already talked about 102. And here we are at basically my final two notes. My fourth finger rule. I've mentioned this in a couple of other videos, but if you haven't watched those yet, then here we go. The fourth finger rule is that if anything lasts for like 2 quarter note beats or longer, you use your fourth finger. In this case, 2 quarter note beats kind of go by pretty quickly. Where I wrote this fourth finger rule in was measures 123, starting in 123, 124. You have the note A, the open A string note, 4 times in a row, and I really do not want you to play open A all the way from 123 until 129, because what if your A string is a little flat? What if your some other person's A string is a little sharp? Or if we're not perfectly in tune, that is going to sound really gross. So the best way to make sure that it's going to be in tune is to use your fourth finger, because you can move your fourth finger around. You can manipulate the pitch. If you put it up here and it's not quite right, you can move it around until it sounds right, until it sounds like it fits with everything that you're doing. Also, a great fourth finger exercise is to put your fourth finger down and play the open string, the next highest open string, because they're the same note. Sorry, this violin is kind of cruddy. Yeah, so practice using your fourth finger, and when it, like in 123 through 129, it's just the note A over and over and over again. So this is a prime place to use your fourth finger and help strengthen the muscles here, and get used to where it needs to reach in space. Also pertaining to that area, do not play too short, especially during the retard at 126. This is something that even professional orchestras get called out on, is that when you slow down in a retard, the notes should get longer as you get slower. Because if you keep playing short little pecky notes and you're getting slower, it's really hard to feel the slowing down. If you just hear da 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 da, like, it's really weird. Whereas if you hear da 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 da, it's much easier. As you get longer, everyone can kind of feel the slowdown and lock in together. Whereas if everyone's playing little short notes, then you may not feel the same slowdown as the person beside you, and then somebody jumps the beat and it's weird, and everything just sounds really scattered. So make sure that your notes get longer as you get slower. Everything from there out should be fine. Make sure that you're counting really hard again at 135, 139. You've got these long notes. Don't get sucked into the people around you that are going to be playing the 3/8 note thing. And then make sure that in measures 150 and 151 that your high F natural is low enough. It's a low first finger. Those F naturals way up there on the E string are a low first finger. So make sure that it's all the way back here, because if it creeps anywhere near F sharp, we're suddenly ending in the key of D major, and that is wrong. So make sure that you don't wreck the tonality there at the very end of the piece by playing an F natural that is not low enough. So I am going to be doing a slow practice version of this piece, and then here's the performance tempo version. There are Violin 1, Violin 3, and viola videos that you can choose from. I'm going to post 2 of them here because I can't post 5 videos. Just look through the playlist and you should be able to access everything really easily. I like it if you could play slowly 4 times. That means at least 1 time through with your video, with the second violin part, 1 time with the first violin part, 1 time with the third violin part, and 1 time with the viola part. And then you can really nail down all of the tricky things. You can, you're practicing your part slowly and getting an idea of where it fits in with everyone else's parts. And then you can speed it up and move on to the fast practice videos and do those however many times you want. But please, 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 it's really essential, especially for that really hard bit at 102, to practice this slowly and make sure that you're not practicing in bad habits and mistakes that are only going to get worse when you get faster. So, with that being said, see you in the next video, and happy practicing.